Beloved, chosen one, have you ever experienced that strange, almost unexplainable stillness in the air? It's as though everything around you has quieted down, as if the world itself has paused just for a moment. You may have felt it before, an invisible pause in the rhythm of your day that catches you off guard. Maybe it's in the middle of your routine, maybe it's during a moment of reflection, or even in the midst of a chaotic environment. Suddenly, there's a silence that seems far deeper than mere quietness. It's as though everything around you has been held still, waiting for something, for someone, and that someone is you. The silence around you is not an accident, beloved. Everything has paused because heaven is calling you. It is not a coincidence that you are here right now, reading these words, listening to the message, and feeling something stir within you. Heaven has pressed pause for a reason. You are not just another soul wandering by. You are the one being called. The voice of God is not a distant echo lost in the noise of life. It is the one voice that resonates within you, reaching deeper than your understanding. It isn't something you hear with your ears alone, it's something you hear with your spirit deep within your soul. It's the whisper that goes beyond logic and reason, transcending time and space. In that pause, when everything around you goes quiet, you can hear it clearly, the call that is yours alone. You recognize that sound. Your spirit, crafted in the image of the Creator, knows that voice before your mind can even catch up. It is a call that does not need explanation because your spirit already understands it. That stirring in your chest, that warmth, is the recognition of something ancient and divine, something you have been waiting for long before you even knew it. This moment is not happenstance, nor is it a random event. It is the divine interruption that you have been waiting for, an interruption meant to awaken you to your true purpose. The world may try to drown out this voice with noise, distractions, and confusion, but you, beloved chosen one, have been tuned differently. Your spirit is tuned to a higher frequency, one that allows you to hear what others cannot. This divine frequency is not just a coincidence or a random blessing. It is your birthright. It is the gift of recognizing God's voice when it calls. While the world fills its ears with distractions, you, beloved, still hear. You are sensitive to the whisper of heaven. The noise that surrounds others may drown out the truth, but it does not drown you. Know you are tuned to hear the most sacred of calls, the call of your Creator, the call of the one who formed you before time began. You know this voice. You have always known it. It is not something you are learning to recognize. It is something you have always recognized deep within your soul. And now, beloved, the moment has come. The stillness you feel is not an accident. It is a divine invitation to awaken, to listen, to move in alignment with something far greater than yourself. This is the moment where everything you have been seeking, clarity, purpose, direction, comes into focus. Your spirit has been waiting for this. It has been listening for this voice all along. You have been feeling the call, but now it's time to listen, not just with your ears, but with your spirit. There is a difference, beloved. We often listen with our ears and our minds, but the voice of God resonates deeper. It calls to you beyond your understanding, beyond your logic. It calls to the very essence of your being, to the core of who you are. This is not just a call to your mind, it is a call to your spirit. You were born to hear it. You were born to respond. It's time to pause and listen carefully. The world may try to tell you that it's just coincidence, that the stillness is just a momentary pause in the chaos. But you, beloved chosen one, know better. You recognize the voice. It is not a random thought, a fleeting feeling, or a passing breeze. It is the voice of the one who formed you, the one who calls you by name. Heaven has pressed pause to get your attention, to remind you that you are chosen, that you are known, and that you are loved. And now, in this moment, you are being invited to listen with the deepest part of yourself, to hear the call of the Almighty in a way you never have before. This call is not for everyone. The world may be filled with noise, but your spirit is attuned to hear the divine frequencies. Your sensitivity is not a weakness, as some may have told you. No, beloved, it is sacred evidence of your connection with the divine. You are being called to rise. This moment of silence, this pause, is where your next step begins. Will you answer? Will you step into the divine purpose that has always been calling you? The answer is within you, beloved. It is the recognition of the voice that has been with you from the beginning. It is the recognition of God's love, God's plan, and God's call. Now, beloved, it is time to listen, not just with your ears, but with your spirit. It's time to respond to the divine call that has always been waiting for you. The silence you are experiencing is not simply the absence of noise. It is a divine pause, a moment in time when heaven presses the pause button, creating space for you to hear, to reflect, and to move forward. This stillness is a sacred interruption, a calling that has been placed before you, inviting you to step into a divine purpose. In this pause, everything around you may seem calm, but within something is stirring, something is shifting. Heaven in its wisdom has orchestrated this moment, bringing everything to a standstill so that you can hear its voice clearly. It is not a random break from the hustle and bustle of life. No, beloved, this is a space deliberately created for you. Heaven has made room for you to listen, to align, and to act. Your next decision, your next movement will be crucial. This moment is a pivot in your life, one that can alter the trajectory of your spiritual journey. The silence you hear is not emptiness, it is divine space preparing you for the next step in your calling. This pause holds significance far beyond what the eye can see. It is not a fleeting moment, it is a divine invitation to recognize that something profound is happening within you. Your next decision is critical. The choices you make now have the power to shift something eternal. Heaven's pause is not meant to paralyze you, but to empower you, to give you the clarity you need to act with purpose and intention. In this silence, you are being given the opportunity to align yourself with divine will, to reflect on where you've been, and to prepare for where you're going. The divine pause is a gift, one that allows you to tune into the frequency of heaven and discern the next step that will lead you to your greater purpose. So as you sit in this stillness, do not fear the quiet. Embrace it. In this sacred pause, heaven is speaking to you, and you are being asked to listen. The chosen one's spirit is uniquely attuned to hear the call of God. While others may be distracted by the noise of the world, you, beloved, have been given the gift of divine sensitivity. Your spirit resonates with the voice of your Creator, and every whisper from heaven finds a home in your soul. This divine frequency is something that you have always known, even before you could fully comprehend it. Your heart leaps when you hear His voice, because it is a sound that is familiar, a sound that calls you back to something deeper. Your spirit has always recognized God's voice, even in moments of confusion or doubt. It is the frequency that shapes your existence, the sound that you have been created to hear. Unlike others who may be deaf to the whispers of heaven, you are equipped to hear what others cannot. Your spirit is finely tuned to this higher frequency, and this divine connection allows you to draw closer to your Creator with every whisper. God's call does not always come in loud, thunderous moments. It often comes as a gentle whisper, a soft nudge, an invitation that stirs deep within your being. And this whisper, beloved, is never in vain. It is always purposeful. The voice of God calls you to higher places, calls you to step into your destiny, and calls you to embrace the truth that you are His. When God speaks, He is not merely sending words into the air. He is sending a divine invitation to align with His will. His voice carries weight, it carries authority, and it carries love. Every time you hear His call, something within you stirs, your heart races, your soul responds, and you know that this moment is not a coincidence. It is divine intervention. This call, this whisper, is meant for you. You are not just hearing it by chance. You are hearing it because you are His chosen one. Your spirit is prepared to receive it. Your soul is sensitive to it. And when you answer, you are stepping into something far greater than you could have imagined. Recognizing that this call is not a coincidence is the first step in fully embracing the divine intervention that is unfolding in your life. The stirring within you is not random. It is the whisper of God guiding you, leading you to something more than you could have ever planned. This is the moment where you must surrender to the recognition of this truth. You are not just moving through life aimlessly. You are being guided step by step by the voice of your Creator. The rest of the world may be caught up in distractions, but you, beloved, have been given the divine privilege of hearing the call. The whisper you are feeling is not a mistake. It is God's invitation to move closer to Him, to listen more intently, and to align yourself with His will. You are being asked to step into the divine purpose that has been written for you long before you were born. As you sit in this sacred pause, this moment of divine stillness, do not let doubt or fear cloud your perception. Trust that this is the time that heaven has been preparing for you. The divine frequency is calling you forward, and now it is time to answer. Every stir within your spirit, every feeling that rises in your chest is a sign that you are being called to something higher. Heaven has made space for you, beloved. It has created this moment for you to step into your divine calling. This is not a coincidence. This is divine intervention. The voice of God has called you by name, and now it is time for you to listen, not just with your ears, but with your soul. The frequency of heaven is resonating within you, and it is time to align yourself with that divine call. Every whisper you hear is a step toward the purpose you were always meant to fulfill. The world may be filled with noise, but you, beloved chosen one, have the gift of hearing something far greater. You are tuned to the divine frequency. Now it is time to move forward. Before fear and doubt clouded your vision, before the burdens of life and the whispers of the world began to drown out your inner peace, you walked in perfect harmony with God. Your soul in its purest form knew the rhythm of heaven and moved in perfect synchrony with the Creator's divine melody. This was before the distractions of life, before the world told you who you should be and what you should do, before the pain, the confusion, and the uncertainty that crept into your heart. You knew the sound of God's voice. It was a familiar sound, one that resonated with every cell in your being. Your soul remembers that voice even now. Deep within you, there is a memory of perfect unity, a memory of being so close to the divine that there was no separation, no confusion. It was simply you and God in perfect relationship, in perfect alignment. And even though the noise of the world has tried to drown that memory, even though doubts and fears have attempted to distort that connection, your soul still remembers the sound of God's voice. It has always been there waiting for you to tune in to listen and to recognize it once again. As you go through life, you may have experienced moments when the weight of the world seemed too heavy to bear, when the loud noise of daily struggles and disappointments seemed to drown out everything else. But, beloved, even in those moments of noise and chaos, God's voice was still there. It never left you. It was simply waiting for you to quiet your mind and open your heart so that you could hear it again. God's voice has always been with you, calling you back to a place of peace, a place of divine alignment. No matter how far you may have wandered, no matter how much noise may have surrounded you, God's voice has always been there, calling you home, calling you back to the place where you belong. You may not have always been aware of it, but His voice was guiding you through every step of your journey, even in the moments when you felt lost. Your soul knows this, even if your mind hasn't fully grasped it yet. The voice that spoke creation into existence, the voice that called the stars into place, is the same voice that calls you by name. It is the same voice that has been with you since the beginning of time, and it will never abandon you. Now, as you listen, you will begin to hear that familiar voice calling you to a higher purpose, calling you to move beyond the distractions of this world and align yourself with your divine destiny. The voice that once spoke and brought forth all of creation is calling you to rise, to step into the fullness of who you were, always meant to be. This is not a call to settle for the mundane or the ordinary. It is a call to something higher, something greater, something eternal. God's voice is not just a whisper of comfort or reassurance. It is the call of purpose, the call of destiny, and the call of divine alignment. The stirring you feel in your chest is not just a passing emotion, it is God Himself aligning you with your divine purpose. It is the spark of divine energy, igniting your soul to move in sync with heaven's plans. Trust that stirring. Trust that pull within you. It is the voice of the Creator drawing you closer, guiding you toward the purpose for which you were born. The moment you hear God's voice, something deep inside of you stirs. Your heart leaps, and you know that you are not lost, not wandering aimlessly through life. You are being led. This moment of recognition is not by chance. It is a divine invitation, a calling that has been written into your soul long before you even understood it. You were created to hear this voice, to respond to it, and to move in alignment with it. When you hear God's voice, you are not just hearing sound. You are hearing the very foundation of your existence. It is the voice that formed you, the voice that designed your destiny, and the voice that has been leading you every step of the way. Acknowledge this call. Recognize it in those quiet moments when the world falls silent and all that remains is the voice of God calling you forward. It is not just a whisper in the wind, it is a direct call to your spirit, a call to rise, to walk in purpose, and to follow the path that has been laid before you. In the stillness, when everything else fades away, that is when the voice becomes clear. It is in these moments that you will recognize the divine calling that has been placed within you. When you feel that warmth in your chest, when your heart begins to beat with purpose, know that it is God aligning you with His divine plan. He is guiding you, leading you to the place where you belong. You are not lost. You are not forgotten. You are being led by the very hand of God, and His timing is perfect. You may not always understand the path, but trust that the same voice that called you into being is the one leading you now. It is not always a loud, thunderous voice. Sometimes it is a quiet whisper, a gentle nudge in your spirit, but it is always present. In every moment of stillness, God is speaking. He is guiding you, leading you, and calling you into something greater than yourself. This is the moment of recognition, This is the moment when you acknowledge that you are not alone in this journey. You are not wandering aimlessly. You are being led, and you are responding to the call that has always been within you. As you step into this divine frequency, you will begin to see the path unfold before you. The noise of the world will fade, and the clarity of God's voice will become your guide. This is not just about hearing, it is about following. It is about taking the steps that God has laid before you, trusting that each one is part of the greater plan. Your heart knows the way. Your spirit has always known the way. Now it is time to listen, to recognize, and to follow. The voice of God is not just a call to action, it is a call to alignment. It is a call to trust, to obey, and to move forward in the divine purpose that has been written into your soul. When you hear God's voice, you are not just hearing words, you are hearing the invitation to become who you were always meant to be. And in that recognition, in that moment of clarity, you step into your destiny. This is the divine calling you have been waiting for. This is the whisper of heaven that has been guiding you all along. Now, beloved, it is time to answer. Just as Abraham and Moses responded to God's voice, leaving everything familiar behind to follow a calling they could not fully understand, so too are you summoned into action, beloved. The call of God is not a request to remain comfortable, nor is it an invitation to a life of ease. It is an invitation to step out of the familiar, to move beyond what you know, and to trust in the voice that calls you to a higher purpose. Just as Abraham left his homeland without knowing where he was going, and Moses stepped into the unknown to confront Pharaoh, you too are being called to act in faith, to respond to a divine prompting that will require courage, trust, and a willingness to follow even when the path ahead is unclear. God's voice does not call you for pride or glory, it calls you for purpose. The divine call is not about exalting you, but about aligning you with His plan for your life. His voice is a guide, not just a sound to hear, but a force that moves you into the fullness of your calling. It beckons you to step into your destiny, to rise above the distractions, doubts, and fears, and to walk in alignment with the divine blueprint He has set before you. But this call requires more than just passive listening. It requires active obedience. The voice of God is a summons to action, a call to move in faith, to trust that His timing is perfect, and that every step you take in obedience brings you closer to your purpose. This obedience is not just a simple act of following orders, it is a test of your faith. The test of your obedience is not about how well you can follow instructions. It is about proving that you are aligned with God's will. Your obedience reveals your trust in God's plan even when you cannot see the full picture. It is a proof that your heart is in sync with His heart, that your spirit is tuned to His frequency. The path may not always be clear, and the road may be full of twists and turns, but your obedience is a declaration that you are choosing to trust God's timing over your own understanding. It is a decision to believe that even when the path ahead is uncertain, the one who called you will guide you every step of the way. Faith is not born in complete understanding, it is born in following. It is easy to have faith when you can see the end result, when you have a clear map of where you are going. But faith truly grows when you are asked to take a step without knowing exactly where it will lead. Just as Abraham did not know where God was leading him, and Moses did not know the outcome of his confrontation with Pharaoh, you too are called to step out in faith, trusting that God will reveal the next step when it is time. Faith is born in the act of following, in the willingness to move forward even when the path is obscured. It is in the act of trusting and believing that God's plan is greater than your own understanding that you will find the strength to continue walking in obedience. When you walk in obedience, you walk in alignment with your divine purpose. Each step of faith you take moves you further into the purpose God has set for your life. The journey may not always be easy, and there will be moments of doubt and uncertainty, but with each step you are being shaped, refined, and prepared for what lies ahead. Your faith is not just an internal belief, it is something that moves you, something that propels you forward in the direction of your destiny. Every act of obedience brings you closer to the person you were always meant to be, to the life you were always meant to live. The voice of God is not just a whisper in the wind, it is the force that moves your destiny. His voice shapes your life in ways you may not fully understand, but it transforms everything around you. It calls you to rise above the ordinary, to step into the extraordinary, and to fulfill the divine purpose for which you were created. Each moment of obedience is a step toward the divine alignment that will unlock the fullness of your potential. When you obey God's voice, you are not just walking in faith, you are walking in purpose. Your steps are aligning with His plan, and in doing so, you are being transformed, not just in your circumstances, but in your very being. Your life becomes a reflection of divine will, and through your obedience, the world around you is transformed as well. Obedience is not a burden, it is a blessing. It may not always be easy, and it may require sacrifice, but it is the path to divine fulfillment. When you walk in obedience, you are walking in the rhythm of heaven, and every step you take brings you closer to the divine purpose that has been written for you since before the foundation of the world. God's voice is the force that moves your destiny, shaping you, guiding you, and preparing you for the work He has called you to do. With each step, you are not just moving toward your purpose, you are becoming it. You are becoming the person who can carry out the work that heaven has entrusted to you. Trust in the voice that calls you. Trust in the timing that is unfolding before you. Your obedience is the key to unlocking the divine alignment that will guide you toward your destiny. Each step you take in faith moves you further into the fullness of your purpose. The road may not always be easy, but every step of obedience is a step toward the life you were always meant to live. As you walk in alignment with God's will, you are not just fulfilling your own desires, you are fulfilling the divine purpose for which you were created. Your obedience shapes your future and transforms the world around you one step at a time. As you continue on this journey, remember that obedience is not about perfection, it is about trust. It is about trusting that God's plan is greater than your own and that His timing is perfect. Each step of faith, no matter how small, is a step toward the divine alignment that will unlock your purpose. Trust in God's voice, follow His guidance, and walk in obedience. You are not just following a call, you are fulfilling a divine destiny. Every step you take brings you closer to the person you were always meant to be. And in that, you are walking in the purpose that God has set before you. As you embrace the divine timing that is unfolding in your life, you realize that you are not simply hearing God's voice anymore, you are becoming it. The call to follow God's voice was never just about receiving direction or guidance, it was about transformation. Every step of obedience, every act of faith is not merely a response, but a process of becoming. You are becoming the very message God has entrusted to you. The more you align yourself with His voice, the more you take on His nature. The whispers that once called you out of darkness are now the truth that guides your every move. What began as a call to action has now become a living testimony, one that reflects the purpose and power of God's presence in your life. With each step, you embody divine truth more fully, and your life becomes a mirror of the grace, mercy, and love that God has poured into you. You are not just a follower of God's voice anymore. You are an active participant in His story, an embodiment of His divine will. The changes you've made, the growth you've experienced, and the challenges you've overcome all testify to the fact that God's call has shaped you. Your obedience has aligned your life with His purpose, and now you walk in the light of that purpose with every breath you take. What was once a whisper in the distance is now a powerful force guiding not only your path, but the paths of those who witness your transformation. Your life is a living testimony of God's work, a beacon of His love and grace. You are not the same person you were when you first heard His call. Through obedience, you have become His message to the world. Now, as you embrace the fullness of God's calling on your life, it's time to speak and act in alignment with what He has spoken to you. This is where the power of divine timing meets divine action. The truth you have received is not meant to stay within you. It is meant to flow outward to awaken others to the same call. The voice you have learned to recognize is now the one you must share with the world. It is not just a personal journey, but a collective mission. Your response to God's voice is not just about your own growth, it is about inspiring those around you to hear the same call. Your obedience and faith serve as a light for others, showing them the way to the same divine purpose you have embraced. You have been equipped with the tools to guide others to speak truth into their lives and to help them hear the voice of God for themselves. By sharing the message that has transformed your life, you are participating in the greater work of awakening souls, leading them into alignment with their own divine purpose. This message is meant to multiply. The divine connection you have experienced is not a one-time event. It is a continuous flow of God's presence in your life. Just as His voice continues to guide you, so too does it move through you to guide others. The more you share what you've received, the more that divine truth ripples outward, touching lives in ways you may never fully understand. This is how God's message spreads through each of us who has heard, believed, and responded. The call never ends. It continues through you as you embody heaven's message and light. Every conversation, every interaction, every act of love is an opportunity to reflect the light that has been given to you. It is an invitation to continue walking in the path that God has set before you, knowing that as you walk with purpose, you lead others to do the same. Embrace your role in this divine unfolding. The calling that began with a whisper in your soul now calls you to be a living testament of God's glory. Share it freely. Let it multiply through your actions and words, and walk with purpose. The light that has guided you is meant to guide others. As you step forward, remember that you are a vessel carrying a message far greater than yourself. It is a message of hope, of transformation, and of divine love. And as you share this message, know that it will not return void. Just as God's voice has shaped your life, it will shape the lives of others, bringing them closer to Him, awakening them to their own divine purpose. The calling you have received is not just for you alone. It is for everyone you encounter, everyone you touch, and everyone you influence. Let this truth sink deep into your spirit. You are the continuation of the story that began with God's voice calling you into being. The journey you are on is not just a personal one, it is part of a greater divine narrative that is unfolding all around you. Share it with the world, beloved. Let it multiply in the hearts of those you encounter. Walk in the light of God's purpose and carry His message with love, faith, and unwavering trust. As you do, you will see the world around you shift. The divine timing you have embraced is part of a larger plan, a plan that will touch lives far beyond your own, and you, beloved chosen one, are a crucial part of that plan. Keep walking with purpose, sharing the message and watching as heaven's light moves through you to change the world. The calling never ends, it continues through you.